So if you take a GFX and an X-T2 and merge them together, what do you get? It's the most advanced X series camera for stills and video. It's still 24 megapixels, 25% thicker on its magnesium alloy body. The burst shooting modes on this have gone up to 5.7 frames per second. And it's Fujifilm's first 5-axis based stabilised camera. It's an X-H1. Fuji have come out with a whole new series of X camera, and the X-H series that's going to come out in the future has a real big difference from the rest of them. 5-axis stabilisation is something that originally we didn't see many brands trying to do and accomplish. They always put it in the lenses, but in doing so here, what Fuji have done is not only gain the stabilisation of the lenses, but then give you that stabilisation of the body to really ensure you can get the most out of your camera. What you've got here in build quality has that little bit more of a chunky design of the GFX to it. So things like the actual handling, the grip of it. I've got it with a battery grip on at the moment. The top dial means that you can see all your intel straight on the top screen here instead, so very much like the GFX. But otherwise it feels very much like an X-T2. The design of the base of the camera now sits slightly differently, and the idea is that with a larger lens on it, and we'll take the battery grip off to show you this, it sits more level. So if you're putting it down on the table, that is completely flush now, instead of before where it sat with the lens protruding upwards. The X-H1 is definitely built to be a much heartier bit of kit over the rest of the XT family out there. You've got that slightly larger design on the top there, the larger grip, the detail that you're getting from the top there, from the top dial display gives you that little bit more information that you wouldn't have otherwise got unless you were using the flip out screen. You'll find that with those sort of ergonomic changes, if you are using large lenses on here like the 1650, the 100-400, any of those, the balance is going to be an awful lot better than before. That was one of the big problems, I think, that using APS-C sensors and having them set up with large lenses meant that the ergonomics were a little bit off on there unless you bought the grips. Here, even without the grip on, this is a decent bit of kit to hold on to. So let's talk in-body stabilisation for a minute as well. So with this little guy at the moment, it's got 5-axis on the body. If we put a lens on the front of it that has stabilisation on it, such as the 1855, then there's 2 points in there that are working and 3 in the body. You're not going to get more than 5-axis. If you put a manual lens on, like a Zeiss or some kind of adapter, on the front of that instead, you're going to get 5 out of the body. It's a very different situation depending on what type of lens you're putting on there, but either way, everything, including those little primes that we all love from Fuji, which don't have stabilisation on, will have that little extra advantage. Even though Fuji have axed most of their film range at the moment, they have brought certain things back in their cameras. So Eterna is the most recent addition to the range. This is going to give you lower contrast, low saturation, and better dynamic range as well. Now, although I'm not a videographer in any way, shape or form, one of the things I have been told about what this camera can do is that over the X-T2, it's shooting, instead of 100 megabytes per second, it's working at 200 now, so efficiency is far greater than before. You've got a high-res output on the audio recording of 48 Hertz, and F-log is the other thing that's changed. So whereas for photographers we see a nice, bright, rich, vibrant shot, changing it now means that it's a very flat setup, which means that for editing later, it's far more appropriate for your style of video. The X-H1 comes in 2 options available on the market. One is just body only, the other is coming with the grip. So with all the technology they've managed to cram into this camera, Fuji are looking to be one of the top players at the moment. I'm Mike from Park Cameras, thanks for watching.